When graphing a sine or cosine function, it is very helpful to find its amplitude and period first. If it is shifted, then those should be found as well. So we're going to graph a couple shifted sine and cosine functions. So first one we have is y equals 2 sine of x minus pi over 3. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my amplitude. And that's going to be the absolute value of the coefficient 2. So the amplitude is 2. Period is 2 pi over k. In this case, k is going to be what's factored out, and it's already in its factored form here, so k is going to be 1. So 2 pi over 1, so just 2 pi. And because we have a minus pi over 3 on the inside, that means this has been shifted right pi over 3. So it's been shifted pi over 3. We have a period of 2 pi. So we're going to have an interval that I'm going to graph from pi over 3 to 7 pi over 3. So I know its amplitude is 2, so it's going to go as high as 2 and as low as negative 2 because it's not been shifted up or down, only right. And it's going to start at pi over 3. So this is a sine and it's not reflected. It's going to start here and it's going to go up. Now, I need to figure out where it crosses the x-axis and where it's going to end, ultimately at 7 pi over 3. So where's all the intermediate parts in between? The easiest way to graph this is to take your period and divide it by 4. So we're going to divide it into quarters here. So 2 pi over 4 is going to give me pi over 2. So that means every notch I'm going to do on here is every pi over 2 increments. So the next notch here is going to be 5 pi over 6. Then here is going to be 4 pi over 3. Then here is going to be 11 pi over 6. And then last, where it ends here, is 7 pi over 3. So I know this is going to go up, down, and then back up again. So this is a starting point, which makes this its highest point. This is where it's going to cross the x-axis. This will be where its lowest point is, and this is where it ends. So just going to draw the sine wave up, down, and then back up again. And there is the graph of this sine function for one period. Next we have y equals 5 cosine of 3x minus pi over 4. So it's a cosine function, but it's not in the correct form. What I have to do is I need to get x to be just x. I can't have a 3x. So I'm going to factor a 3 out of this whole parentheses. So when I do that, I'm going to end up with y equals 5 cosine of 3 times x minus, and when I factor a 3 out of pi over 4, it's going to give me pi over 12. So now there's my function, and I can pick out what I need. Amplitude, absolute value of the coefficient 5, so absolute value of 5, which is 5. Period is going to be 2 pi over k, and k in this case is 3, so 2 pi over 3. And this has been shifted to the right, pi over 12, so right shift pi over 12. So my interval that I'm going to graph here is going to start at pi over 12. And it's going to go 2 pi over 3. So when I add 2 pi over 3 to pi over 12, I'm going to get 3 pi over 4. And so get it all set up and ready. And so the amplitude is 5, and there is no up or down shift. So I'm just going to say that this is a 5 up here, and this is a -5 down here. And since this is cosine and no reflections, this is going to start up at 5, specifically here at pi over 12, because that's where my interval starts. So it's going to start here. Now to know how to graph this, I'm going to quarter this graph off. So I'm going to take my period, 2 pi over 3, and I'm going to divide it by 4. When I do that, I'm going to end up with pi over 6. So every notch is going to be a pi over 6 increment. So when I add pi over 6 to pi over 12 here, this is going to be pi over 4. Right here is going to be 5 pi over 12. Here is going to be 7 pi over 12. And then lastly here is going to be 3 pi over 4. So the graph is going to start here, go down across the x-axis here, keep going down until it reaches the lowest point here at -5, come back up here, and then keep on going until I reach the end of this period. So cosine wave starting here, going down, going up, and there we go for the graph of this function here. Last, I have y equals 2 sine of 2/3 x minus pi over 6. Again, I need to have x by itself, so I'm going to factor out a 2/3 to get it into the right form. So I'm going to get y equals 2 sine of 2/3 x minus, and when I factor out a 2/3 from pi over 6, I'm going to be left with pi over 4. So now that it's in the correct form, I can find out what I need. So the amplitude is the absolute value of the coefficient, 2. So it's just 2. Period is just 2 pi over k, so 2 pi over 2/3. So 2 pi over 2/3. And when you simplify this down, you're just going to end up getting 3 pi. And this has been shifted to the right, pi over 4. So right shift, pi over 4. So my interval is going to start at pi over 4, and it's going to go 3 pi. So just take 3 pi and add it to pi over 4, and we're going to end up getting 13 pi over 4. So draw that out, starting at pi over 4 here. And I know the graph goes as high as 2, so I'll just say a 2 here and a -2 here, since there is no vertical shift, just a horizontal shift. This is sine, starting here, and there is no reflection, so it's going to go up, then down, then back up. So I now need to know the increment, so I'm going to take my period, which is 3 pi, and divide it by 4, so I can graph this function in quarters. So this is the increments I'm going to go, every 3 pi over 4. So starting at pi over 4, and then add 3 pi over 4, it's going to give me pi. Then add another 3 pi over 4, and I'm going to get 7 pi over 4. then add another 3 pi over 4, and I'm going to get 5 pi over 2, and then one more, and that'll end up giving me 13 pi over 4. So it starts here, gonna max out here, then cross the x-axis again here, reach its lowest point here, and then come back up and end here. So up, down, then back up again. And here is the graph of this shifted function.